Cast a wider spotlight on the political high horsery and, dare I say it, tall poppy syndrome that is rife within this country. In line with that, and in the context of an eventful opening at Parliament, the first on the list this week is all those on Twitter and social media who reacted to new National MP James Meagher, who you just heard from on this programme, his opening speech to Parliament by questioning his Māoriness and dismissing his background as a poor kid growing up in the South Island. Meagher's speech drew a standing ovation from across the House, including Green and Te Pāti Māori MPs, the prevailing point within his speech being that many on the left, and he called them members opposite, claim a certain ownership or presume that they preside over Māori people, poor people and workers. And that reaction from the left when a person who is Māori or who was poor or who grew up working class happens to disagree with their worldview can stray into the personal and downright nasty. Well, as if like clockwork, and the feral left, as I will call them here, on social media warriors, took to their keyboards in the wake of that speech to prove his point for him. One relatively prominent left-wing commentator on social media wrote, "Imagine your maiden speech in Parliament being all about how you're a class traitor." Charming stuff there. Another wrote, "Just for a change, I'd love a maiden speech where someone was raised to be a selfish PRICK by their wealthy family but ended up on the left of politics." James Meagher may be Māori, one blog post headline wrote, but his intentions are 100% settler. So people who cry endlessly about the inadequate representation in Parliament and who view parties like National and ACT through an unapologetically ethnic lens are the same people who respond to a young Māori guy making his debut in Parliament by trolling him on Twitter and calling into question the legitimacy of his Māoriness and the validity of his background and upbringing. So do better, please, because it's remarkably unbecoming and does more to reveal your true intentions and feeling about New Zealand than you probably realise. Next up on the list, Human Rights Commissioner Paul Hunt, a man in charge of an organisation that is tasked with discussing human rights in this country, a man who was present at the Israeli embassy screening of the horrific imagery of Hamas attacks on Israel and who has been eerily quiet in his condemnation or lack thereof of Hamas. He would not come on the program to discuss what he saw at this screening, despite being the head of an organisation that has had plenty to say on the subject. He called recently for an end to rising anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in New Zealand in the midst of this nasty conflict, but will not discuss openly the HRC's stance on the issue as a whole. As a person who requests interviews from people like Mr. Hunt frequently, it never ceases to amaze me the gravity and significance of issues that fail to transcend petty political or philosophical disagreements in the eyes of so many. There are, I would say to the Greens and to Paul Hunt, certain issues that should transcend these differences and that should warrant your contributions to the national conversation, especially at a time where division is as rife as it is in this country. And we'll have the theme music to finish it off.
Geez, Ben, that was bloody good. Because when we decided to do that about 10 minutes ago, you obviously had it all in your head. Nice work, son. Nice work.